How you doing? I'm Martin Bose. Today we're going to be going over a few fundamental concepts. Got my man Nate Dogg with me. What's up, Nate? Say hi. So he's going to be helping us out. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a stick work concept that has to do with how we hold our stick. So when I usually when I work with athletes, I'll actually have them not wear gloves to start because I want them to be holding the stick a specific way. So what I want to see right now, Nate, just kind of get a little bit of stick work going right now. And this can be, wall ball. This can be partner passing. And what we're focusing on is sort of what the head of the athlete's stick is doing. So right now, this is pretty good, but what I'm not seeing is a full snap of the wrist. And so at the core of that is not necessarily just telling our athletes to snap our wrists. We have to sort of change the way they're gripping their stick, specifically with their top hands. So what I do with my athletes is I ask them to, hold the ball for 1 sec, and now what I want you to do is kind of put your hand out and then open up your hand. All right, so what we're looking at is where the stick is placed. So from here, you can see it's right across the palm. So now regrip that stick, just, the normal way. Yep, good. And what that's going to promote as he's throwing, go ahead back to a couple reps, is a push. Okay, so with that grip that he has right now, we're seeing more of just a simple push-pull motion, which is incorporated with good throwing technique, but we do want to have more of a wrist snap. So let's go back to that grip, Nate. So open up that grip. So what we want to do is sort of re-grip a little bit higher up towards the base of his fingers. Spread those fingers out a little bit more. All right, now grip, and that thumb should be on the side of the stick. All right, now that's what we're looking for right there. So pull that sleeve down for me. So now as he winds up, kind of hold in that wound up position. So now we can see that his wrist is cranked back. We have an angle there. So now kind of go back to that original grip that we had before. Right, so with this grip, we see a straight line with his wrist, and now if we adjust to what we're looking for, now we're going to see his wrist cranked back. So I'm actually going to take the ball out, and now we're just going to focus on being able to snap the head of his stick. Right, good. And now we can see the head is going to come all the way through. All right, good. All right, so now let's add the ball in and focus on getting the head of our stick to come all the way through for each throw. This is one of those concepts that, most athletes have, already ingrained muscle memory, to hold the stick a certain way. So this is one of those things that is going to take some time to really adjust. And as coaches, what we're going to see is, especially with, partner passing and wall ball, when we first introduce this, new grip, is after 3 or 4 reps, they're actually going to just shift right back to that pushing motion that they're so used to. So it's going to take, not only patience on the athlete's part, but patience on the coach's part to be able to consistently sort of cue them on that grip, because they're definitely going to consistently go back to what they're used to. So it's going to take some time. And what I like to do is I like to really spend more time on the weak hand. And the hope is that it will translate over to the strong hand a little bit easier for the athlete, so the weak hand is where we want to spend most of our time. All right, good job, Nate. Okay, so that's the first concept, is just the simple, grip of our stick with our top hand in particular, promoting that wrist snap. So now what we want to focus on with the stick work is going to be rotating our body. And it has to do with our shoulders and what our shoulders are doing throughout the throw. And then we'll translate that to a simple shooting drill that we can implement within practice. So, Nate, what I want you to do is kind of what we did last time. So kind of leave your shoulders square. All right, good. So when athletes, first start playing lacrosse, and definitely more so on the weak hand, even more experienced athletes, what you'll see is, we're going to see that grip. But B, when it comes to generating the power, a push-pull motion. So what I'm watching is his shoulders. Right now, what Nate's shoulders are doing is they're mostly just facing his target, and he's pushing and pulling, right? And what that means is that his arms are doing all of the work. And so what we want to start doing is rotating our upper body and getting our core more involved, allowing our shoulders and arms to relax a little bit more, and it gives us a little bit more ball control. So what we want to cue the athlete on doing is getting our shoulders turned back, right? And that way, with each throw, we should finish that release with our shoulders square, right? And then get them right back as we wind up, okay? Again, we're focusing on the shoulders, and we're focusing on watching his shoulders rotate for every single rep. They should be coming through. And one thing that is sort of, it's not wrong to have their hips pointed towards their target. It's sort of like a lax 101 cue where, we want to have our hips, parallel to our target, or perpendicular rather, right? And that way we're kind of getting a big rotation. That's not a bad cue, but it's not the be-all, end-all, right? Because in the sport of lacrosse, what we want to be able to do is run in any direction and be able to throw in any direction. So if I'm always cueing my athletes on having my hips a certain way when I throw a certain way, it's going to make it difficult to be able to throw passes with my hips in different positions. So just for that exact same drill, go ahead, Nate. I want you to actually do this drill with your hips square to your target. Good, focusing on that shoulder rotation. Let's sit just a little bit lower. Good, athletic stance. Nice. All right, and now let's open up our hips to a 45-degree angle. Good, and we should be able to implement that same exact concept. All right, good, and now let's go all the way to parallel. Good, now our hips are turned, and again, our shoulders are doing the exact same thing. So that's one of those concepts, we call it disassociating our shoulders from our hips. We should be able to get that same rotation with our shoulders regardless of the position of our hips. So here's a simple drill called swat the fly drill. This can be done on a one-on-one basis, or we can have a line of 4, 5, 6, 7 athletes that are just kind of filtering through here. So what we want to focus on is kind of what we just came from with the stick work, which is the rotation, okay? And so now we're going to be shooting, all right? And so the footwork and what our hips are doing, we want to be a little bit more specific with this particular drill. So to start, we've got Nate on his weak hand right now, okay? I've got his hips perpendicular to the target. What I want you to do is get a little bit of a wider base and sit nice and low, and we're going to catch and shoot one-handed, okay? So what I'm going to do as the coach is I'm going to cue my athlete to not step with his front foot. What's more natural, and actually what I hear a lot of coaches telling their athletes to do, is catch and then take a big step with that front foot and then shoot. Okay? It's not necessarily wrong or bad, but we don't really need that step. What we need is sort of a wide base because we're trying to cue the rotation. So what I want to actually cue my athlete on doing is stepping with his back foot. So after the release of the shot, I want to see a big step of that back foot coming around. With the front foot, I should see a pivot, okay? And there's a couple important timing factors that we're focusing on here, because we don't want to be stepping with that back foot as we're throwing. We want to be throwing off the pivot of our front foot and then coming through with our back foot. There's a really good opportunity to focus on kind of everything we've done so far. If we've got a good grip, okay, and we really snap our wrist, I should hear that noise. Good. A little bit harder here, so sit lower. Good. And let's avoid any sort of extra cradles right now. Just kind of get to wherever you're comfortable. Good. A little bit more juice. Let it come. Let it really fly. Yes. Good. Now we can hear that motion. I'm seeing a big step with that back foot. Okay. Now we're going to actually get the ball involved. Nice. And let's not worry about getting the shot off quick right now. We're just going to catch. Get ourselves to where we're comfortable. All right. Let's sit a little bit lower, Nate. Good. Good. As you can see, he's not stepping with his front foot. He's pivoting off of it. Good. Let's get a nice big step with that back foot, which is your left foot in this case. Nice job. All right, now let's go two-handed. Same exact drill, same footwork. Good. Sit nice and low. Good. All right. So swat the fly drill. All right, that one's pretty simple. We can implement that in practice. We can implement that one at home. That one's really important to get our athletes rotating, and it's a good progression of what we did before with the shoulders rotating. Now we're getting our legs involved as well. Okay, so we're going to go over one final concept here, and this is more of an advanced concept, but something that even our beginner athletes should be practicing nonetheless. So this, again, is going to be for partner passing or wall ball. So Nate, I'm just going to have you get a little bit of wall ball going right now. So let's just get hips sort of at a 45-degree angle. Okay, let's get our shoulders rotating through for every throw. All right, so now what we're really focusing on is the word efficiency. So what we want is we want to get the ball in and out of our stick as quickly as possible. So the first part to this is the stick work part. All right, so nothing to do with really the rotation just yet, is just what our stick's doing. So what most athletes do naturally is catch the ball in front of their body. So what's happening right now is Nate's catching that ball in front of his body, and then he's manually winding it back. All right, but what's happening again is he's catching in front and then cranking it back. All right, so that's not bad. You can relax right now. That's not bad from, like, you know, a gameplay standpoint. You know, always we need possession of the ball, so we need to catch more than anything. But what we want to practice is being able to catch into our next pass or catch into our next throw. So that's where the efficiency comes in. So Nate, what I want you to try doing is, let me see the ball for a sec. I want you to try to catch the ball, right, as it comes back. All right, and what we want to try to do is get the ball to hit our mesh when it's sort of back behind our head. So I still do want you to get your stick in front of your face when you're receiving the ball. But the hope is as the ball comes in, you're bringing your stick back at the same pace and it hits that mesh when it's back behind your head. Therefore, it'll be in and out of your stick much quicker. Good. Let's get no cradle, catch, throw. Catch, throw. Awesome. Okay, good. Let's pause it there. Good. So that's the stick work portion of this efficiency concept. The second portion is what we're doing with our body, okay? And so what we want to try to do is conserve energy and try to relax our shoulders and our hands. So what I want you to try to do here, Nate, is sort of couple the last two concepts that we did, which is the rotation, okay? And now with the rotation, yep, I should see your shoulders already back before you catch the ball. All right, and let's not wind up too far with our stick, because as soon as we get that ball on our stick, boom, it's right out. Okay, so now we're bringing our stick back. Good, and now as you can see, we can get into a nice rhythm where the ball is in and out of our stick much quicker. Good, good, bring that stick back. And a big part of this concept, you know, whether you're on the wall or with a partner, is accuracy, right? If Nate, you know, throws himself a bad pass that he has to catch on the other side of his head, that's not going to allow us to get this throw off as quickly as possible. So a little bit of footwork involved there, right? You know, Nate, if you were to catch a bad pass, yeah, exactly. In a game, he can adjust by moving his feet, which Nate's a natural athlete, so he just did it right there. All right, so those are our big focal points. You know, for me, when I first get an athlete, it starts with that grip. You know, I need to see that they can snap their wrist. I mean, ultimately, we can go over shooting and passing form all day, but ultimately, all you really have to do is snap that wrist, and we can start to get more consistent and accurate with our throwing. And the ultimate factor of accuracy is going to come down to the timing of our wrist snap, right? So if we are aiming, for the top corner, but it goes low, what that typically means is that we snapped our wrist too late. And, you know, if we are aiming low and the ball goes high, that means we snapped our wrist a little bit too early. So we didn't really focus much on accuracy, but that's sort of the next progression that we'd work on, is the timing of our wrist snap. But step 1A is making sure that we're holding our stick the right way, we're snapping our wrist, and we're getting a good rotation for every single throw that we take. So again, everything we did today was sort of in a feet set place where, you know, when we progress from there, it's going to be, you know, on the run. That's how the game's played. So that's how we want to practice as well. So all those concepts are going to translate to on the run. And Nate Dogg, you did a great job, buddy. That's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value from it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I can certainly answer them for you. Nate Dogg, I appreciate your time. You did a great job, bud. And that's going to be all for today. So we should probably just both snipe a corner at the same time now, right? All right, cool. We're done.